Hi everyone and welcome back to this channel. Today I have a Waycrest Manor 20 that I want to showcase here and show you a little bit about the route that I'm going and a little bit tips and tricks throughout the way, from a tank perspective. Now I think Waycrest is actually a super interesting dungeon simply just because it's a dungeon that can be quite easy or just relatively breeze to get through, but it can also go and be absolutely terrible and miserable to play through really quickly. And from my perspective, it all kind of boils down to what size you are pulling in. You can as a tank you can turn relatively free pulls into extremely dangerous by just pulling just a tad too much. So this is something that I fault a little bit on in this run. I do actually end up I do cause a party wipe simply just because I pull too much. But just to showcase here, in the beginning first pull here, I just pulled everything together. Again, I have Sigil Silence, so I can completely lock this down. Even if you can't, I think it's still worth to do that. Even if you're playing something else other than Demon Hunter, you should have people in your party that can help you a little bit with CC. It's not that they have extremely dangerous casts, that they simply just casting their bolts, and which is free damage. You saw me moving a little bit forward there is because I simply forgot, that the witches, the different witches that spawn in different locations. So you can have one right here, or you can have one down, further down the pole, and then also in the kitchen. And I guess it's on a week basis on when and what a witch spawned where. So unfortunately it didn't spawn here, so I actually didn't, ended up grouping these two patrols here with a pack inside the first boss. And I wanted to say, the general biggest tip that I have for Waycrest Manor, because it is a dungeon that I struggled on a little bit in the first couple of weeks learning this dungeon, simply just because there is a bunch of dungeons in World of Warcraft where you are pushed. If you want to time it and you want to get a good score out of it, you kind of are pushed into pulling a little bit more than you might think you are comfortable with. And Waycrest Manor, in my opinion, is basically just the opposite. You see pulls that you're like, oh, there's only one more caster in it, I can probably pull that, but you can actually be completely overwhelmed really quickly. And you see right here, we are also wiping to Spiteful, which is also really tough on in this dungeon. Sanguine is also another one that's really hurtful. Also bursting in this just because all the packs are filled up with a lot of ads that always gives bursting. So in general, Waycrest Manor is a dungeon that it can be quite rough. As we go in and pulling the first boss here, thank God that it got nerfed from its BFA days, because this boss used to be the make it or break it. It's basically just a DPS check. So you have different mechanics going through. You have the guy right there who got mind control. You need to damage him so he loses the mind controlness. And then also as a tank perspective, you have different tank mitigations. You have one right here where I get a debuff that I need to move in order to lower the duration of it. And you also have one that reduces the healing, and you have a bunch of stuff going on. But basically what it's all about is that you want to kill these bosses before their energy bar hits 50%. No, I mean, sorry, 100%. You want to kill them before the energy goes up to 100%. And they get energy by basically just holding these this orb, the way they grow big and you can damage them. When they do iron that phase, they will get energy. So basically, the rule here is basically if you are hitting them at 50% HP faster than they are hitting the energy mark at 50%. So you get them down to 50% before they get energy at 50. I don't know if that makes sense. You are basically good to go. You're fine. As long as their HP is lower than their energy. I haven't failed this dungeon. I mean this boss specifically. So I'm kind of happy with it. This place, it still seems worth to Bloodlust, simply just from timing wise, and also because it is kind of difficult to pull into really bigger pulls right here in the beginning. So I would honestly just use Bloodlust here and then start clearing until you have it up again, and then go into tree boss. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Now this is actually where I end up screwing over big time. So I should have stopped right here and just like focused on these 4s. But I keep going, and I think this might have been fine if the witch right there wouldn't also have spawned in. One thing I realize now, pushing into 20s is, you know, first of all, this season is relatively easy, so pushing into 20s, kind of starting to showcase where the different difficulty spikes are in the dungeon. And these mobs right here that I'm fighting hits extremely hard on the tank, which I was really surprised about. I'm gonna run out of my apologies. I'm gonna run out of like cooldowns right now, and you're gonna see how quickly my health is just gonna like dip down. I ended up using everything here, so I'm also gonna drop darkness right there. Yeah, this is just extremely way too much, and there I go down. What happening now is basically just that, you know, I release, I'm thinking that everyone's gonna die, but the healer is actually just gonna bring everything back, which I was a little bit, you know, hesitant about. I see that everything is down, but, you know, I'm like, am I just gonna instantly die again? Luckily enough, I end up just getting full devastation off right before. If I didn't, then I would absolutely have been like smacked around. That's really the thing about the Demon Hunter. I think I have another example of it coming up. But it's basically just that you need to make sure that, you know, when you jump into a pack, you need to have something up. You will be dead in seconds if you don't have, you know, something defensively up while you're getting your snowball effect going. But we actually managed to end up kind of saving the pool, so we don't have to do it all over again. And out here I'm also just communicating with my healer, telling him that, you know, I actually noticed that he has no mana. I'm not gonna like keep going until he like drinks up, right? It's great to communicate. But it's also really great that we just managed to clean up at the pool. I don't know why the witch didn't come with us, but I decided to, and this is probably the alleyway right here. I mean the courtyard, whatever it's called, this opening area outside here is, in my opinion, probably the make it or break it aspect of the pull. This is where everything can go really wrong really fast if you haven't if you're not aware of what you're pulling and how much you're pulling. Right here I just get one of the dog patrols. I wanted to get the other one, I just was a little bit off the timing and I didn't want to risk it. So I'm gonna go back over here and I'm just gonna tell my buddy that I'm gonna pull whatever is coming, I'm just gonna pull it back, so don't like come with me. So I end up like taking the rest of the dog patrol here, and I should have kept going. I just was not really aware how hard they're gonna hit, but I'm gonna keep going now as I figure out that, okay, I'm actually fine, I'm safe. For percentage wise, you could take the pack right there in the corner with the two casters. I would not recommend it. There is much easier pulls that you can just like pick out instead of that. I like to go in here in the middle and then actually just jump in here towards the pick boss and then pull everything out. And I'm basically just telling my teammate after this that, hey, we have 5 minutes until Bloodlust. I am just gonna clear everything and pull everything out until we have Bloodlust, and then we're gonna go on the tree boss. So I'm actually still not really 100% sure if I should split this poll up so I get these two casters on their own with something else and then wait until everything is dead and then go on the mini boss, because this poll actually does end up getting a little bit dangerous, a little bit spicy in the beginning. You're also gonna see me move around a lot, and that's simply just because, you know, this fire that you can see around you hitting, like the lightning is like hitting the ground, and then fire is gonna come. You can actually damage the mobs with that. And it does a lot of damage specifically on the mini boss right there. So definitely you have a little wiggle room where you can like move around between her casts, because she was just standing still and casting. So you have a little few seconds before that. So you need to, like, you know, as I'm doing right now, move in good time. But yeah, this could definitely have been executed a much more cleaner. But we end up, you know, getting him like a good amount of time, but still a little bit, like 2 minutes, I think, until Bloodlust. So we, you know, it's just gonna keep clearing more in towards the pig boss. So whenever we are done with the second boss, we can go directly, you know, boss to boss. And if you're tanking, make sure to put down markers, make sure to communicate with your team that you are coming out. You do not want, because you are just going in there, touching them very briefly, the mobs, and then dipping out. If you have any DPSers going with you, or just thinking that, oh, we're just gonna do big dams right here, like my warrior is doing right now, he will just die. Because I'm not having aggro on it, and you can see he's losing damage. Fair enough that he was like quick to like get out and everything, but yeah, don't follow your tank or whatever. And if you are the tank, just please like make sure to communicate. Don't expect people to know anything. That's basically my rule. I also tell people, you know, hey, Bloodlust this boss, even though it might be obvious to most people. I just never assume anything, and I just communicate whatever I want to communicate. And you don't have to type in long. Like, I have keep finding different markers, which has been life-saving on a tank. And then also you have the pinning system, as I'm doing right now, telling them, hey, I'm gonna come back. And instead of like killing the packs on the corner, as I mentioned before, this is what I like to do. I like to go around here, around the corner at the pig boss and pull. But unfortunately, I need to be a little bit more ups on. You also see my health dip a little bit low. You kind of don't have to, like. You need to be careful not risking it too much doing these pulls, because this is a lot that I pulled in. I'm maybe a little bit too much. This is like what I was talking about. You see people are like dying because these things are just jumping around, and having multiple of them jumping around will definitely just wreck your entire party. So this is a little bit too much. This is what I'm talking about. Like, it seems fine because, oh, it's just two casters, but it's really not. You need to be like really careful. But yeah, communicate. Make sure that your entire team is on the same page. That's basically one of the biggest jobs the tank has. Like, you know, you do have that leader role like on you, and that's just something you need to like partake in. If you do communicate with your team, you are just going to have a much better time. Never just assume that people know what you want to do, or that they can read your mind, because they can't. And they are, even though you're doing the same run every single time because you're the tank, everyone else has tried something different or going somewhere else, and there's small like differences that you're doing. So yeah, just communicate. So we have Bloodlust up, and we are just waiting for the healers to get mana. So I'm like helping with killing the ghost, the spiteful. I'm sorry, just so the healer can start like regenerating mana, because he's in combat before that. This boss right here is probably gonna be the biggest, at least like boss check wise on you. It seems Waycrest Manor is much more difficult on Fortified than it is in Tyrannical, but this boss is definitely gonna test you, and it's gonna test the tank. So basically, from your perspective, he's gonna have a dot that he's gonna like keep increasing every, I don't know, like few seconds. And the more stacks he has, the more damage he's just gonna do. And at some point, he is just gonna wreck you, like absolutely just one-shot you. So you need to, so the way that you're gonna like remove these stacks is simply by just walking him into the fire, as you can see now. Now the thing is, when you walk into the fire, not only does he do a lot of like group damage that you need to, like your healer needs to take care of, but he's also gonna spawn these ghosts that you can't target, but they will just start smacking you if you get too close to them, and they will really just wreck your party, as you can see walking around now. The whole strat around this boss is simply just by, you know, this is like a make or break it from like if your tank knows what to do. Like this is all on you as a tank, because it's all about when you are clearing, and clearing in a smart time. You see, you know, these thorns coming up where a random party member will be selected and then stunned, and you have to like clear them out. You know, they can't move when they're in that. Clearing while someone is in the thorn, you know, it's not only bad because people are focusing on like, you know, DPSing it, the thorn, and now all of a sudden you bring ghosts in, so they have to move around, meaning that, you know, there's gonna be less damage on the thorn, meaning also the person is stuck and is just gonna get smacked around with ghost. What I like to do is simply just every other thorn. As soon as this thorn is done, you know, I go clear. And this is usually when he's around 18 to 22 stacks is when you really want to start clearing. You don't want him to get much over 18. Also here again, I'm signaling because I'm not done clearing. We got Bloodlust up before I was done, so I'm just gonna pull this last pack here, and then we're gonna go into the next boss. Now, honestly, the big chef guy here, the big kitchen boss, the pig boss, he really is not much of a trouble whatsoever. What he does is he throws a lot of ads down, as you can see here, which puts stuff in the ground, which slows you a lot. Be careful of the slow, because he does this cone thing where he will like basically, you know, select an area, random area, as he's doing right now, and then, you know, you need to dodge that. And then also he brings in ads that will, you know, servants that will buff up his damage, meaning that, you know, everything will just do much more damage. And then basically, if you make sure to kill the ads here, then you're perfectly fine. A little tip is that if you have a lot of damage and you can kind of like push the boss, you can, as I'm doing right now, putting Imprison on one of them and the Sigil of Misery on the other. And if no one touches the one with the Sigil of Misery, they will just have a 30-second, you know, in fear. Meaning that you can basically take at least, like you can see here, I'm gonna take a few of the ads out on the last, you know, last few percentages, so we can just focus the boss instead. So that's a little bit like, you know, tip it if you didn't know that you could just, you know, CC them, but you can. But yeah, it's basically just kill the ads, make sure that they don't really reach the boss, and you are in the clear. You're fine. So one thing I forgot to mention before, I think I was in the middle of trying to mention it, is basically just that I actually end up missing 0.5%. And simply just for not clearing enough around the corner before I went into the pig room here, pig boss room. And yeah, just if you're not pulling the one in the corner in the courtyard, then, which I really recommend, just, you know, make sure that you check your MDT just to make sure that you have enough percentage going down. These packs are kind of annoying to have to overpull because they are quite dangerous, and some of them have a lot of health, so you really don't want to like pull extra if you don't have like you need to. So like usually you would wait until you get to the last boss, kill him, then go back, so you don't have to like clear the whole group, the whole pool. But even that, you know, it takes a while because there is like relatively long traveling distance from last boss to this area right here where, you know, your ads are. So if you can really double check that you have every percentage that you need before you go into that area. I like to pull the mini-boss, but you know, the thing about mini-bosses is they have so incredibly much health that it just takes forever. So it could probably be worthwhile to look into being able to skip her. But the thing is that her patrol road is kind of annoying. She's actually surprisingly fast. That I actually haven't this time yet. I haven't been able to get in a group where we skip her completely. Someone always ends up body pulling her, or we end up waiting, you know, a little bit. Yeah, it's a mess. Sometimes at this point I just like to just pull her and then, you know, just deal with it. All she does as a tank, you know, she puts this debuff on you where you take more damage. So you don't really want to chain pull her into too much stuff. Just be aware of that you know, you kind of want to wait until the packs are slightly dying before you start pulling her, because you're just going to end up taking a much more damage. And then she does this dot on a random person, as well as a volley that you need to kick. But everything else is fairly like manageable, and she's just basically just have a bunch of health that you need to be aware of. Now there is no secret that this is definitely the hardest pull in the dungeon. I actually, under 20s, I actually just pull everything here, which is definitely not something you want to do. It is, even with all my sigils and CC and all that stuff, this is way too much, and you need to spread it out. I could have potentially spread it out even more. We do actually end up losing a mage because multiple casts got getting off, you know, not from the witches, but those like shadowy kind of looking guys. They are gonna like throw these bolts on people. Then you can see like on the health bar, like people are losing like 40% of their health just from like one bolt. And the other thing they also need to make sure of is to move the witches, because they actually put down these runes. You can see she's standing on one right now. Every mob standing in that room takes 50% less damage. Now that is a lot of like, you know, damage reduction they're gonna get. So that means that there's so many casts they're getting off. It's really bad. You want to make sure to remove them and like kicking them at the right time. It is manageable, but this is definitely a pull that is extremely tough in PoCs, because you don't really have coordination of like who kicking what. But if you do actually have that, if you have CC and you have communication with your team, you're actually on voice comm, you can like call it out, like who needs to kick what. This pull is relatively easy, but yeah, in PoCing, not so much. Now, one thing I am trying to work out a little bit is probably like a better bloodlust timing, because I was thinking about maybe it's worth like bloodlusting here. Again, like we do lose a mage, right? But we still get through it. And I don't know, I feel like this might be worth bloodlusting, because this doesn't really seem like at all the bosses are on, at least on Fortified definitely. They don't really seem that like worth it. But as you can see here, we still don't actually have bloodlust stuff, so we couldn't even have done it even if I wanted to. And we do end up saving it for the last boss, which is fine, I guess. I really don't have a preference if it's gonna be this boss or the last one you bloodlust on. I think that's just personal preferences. I don't really have anything against either boss. Again, you know, I'm also playing a tank, and there isn't basically any mechanic on either bosses, so yeah, this is basically just if you want to use bloodlust here, I don't see a problem in that whatsoever. It is kind of like wonky, because, you know, when are you gonna use it? Are you gonna use it when she comes down? and also just a long time going through the fight without actually, having bloodlust up. Also, by the way, just a shout out to that demon hunter there. Make sure that, if you have the green spot, screw your damage. Just, yeah, go away, right? Like, I mean, go out of the group. Don't stand in it. We don't care about your damage. This is fine. We just don't want to get overwhelmed on this boss with, like, everything going on and all this, like, casts going off, from the Lady Waycrest that's just gonna cast over there. We can't really do much about. And also, like, dots and stuff like that. So we don't want that extra thing. If you have the big green circle around you, make sure to move out the group. We don't care about your damage. This is gonna be fine. But yeah, I just wanted to, like, clarify here that, if you decide to use Bloodlust here, then I would honestly just use it on the pool so you can get, like, faster to second phase and start cleaving her down. I don't really see it too much worth that, you're using it here when she comes. Simply just because, like, she has so, like, less health, and yeah, no, I think it's honestly, the other thing is it's worth it just to use it on the last boss, just so you can be through it quicker, I guess. Now, I won't lie, this is by far probably the most fun pull to do in this entire season. I'm just gonna pull everything. Absolutely. I use meta, I use my defensive here. Again, because the next boss doesn't really have anything for the tank, so I would just, throw everything you have on these mobs. They do actually hurt up when everything is stacking up, And also just, on weeks, especially like here with Spiteful, these guys will drop Spiteful and you are in this, like, really close tunnel. As you know, like, as a tank, you just need to know that, like, your group mates here, they want to move. They don't want to be trapped into this tunnel, and you need to make sure that, giving them room so they can move. So that means, for example, I'm just gonna go start on the boss, right? So they actually have that extra room to move down there, so no one has to worry about, am I gonna pull the boss and stuff like that. I see people moving and I'm like, you know what, I'm fine. We have, like, timing and stuff like that, so yeah, we are going on the last boss with still, with that percentage, so we need to go back, meaning that we are really in a rush here. Honestly, all you need to do, as I mentioned before, you need to, like, stop his cast so he doesn't get that off. The tanker usually do that all the time. As soon as your CD comes back on your interrupt, then he will start casting it, so it should, like, cycle really, like, easily. And then the other thing is, he will spawn these ads that will, like, do this drain on, like, a random player, and you need to, like, use CC to stop them from that. And then also, he drops this little, I don't know what it is, a lantern or something like that you can just, like, throw on the corpses of the ads so they actually die, because if you don't, they'll just respawn and you basically just get overwhelmed. But you can see right there, it's popping up. You just, as a healer or DPSer, you just pick it up and then you just use it whenever one of those ads die to, like, burn them forever, right? So the boss is down and we are so close to two-timing this, two-chesting this. I am, like, skedaddling. You can see here, luckily I'm a demon hunter, so I can just jump up right there. But you can see, like, from the rest of my party, this is gonna take a little bit to, like, walk back. This is not just something like Atel Desar, for example, that's, like, really fast to, like, pick something up. You need to, like, move a little bit here. And as I mentioned before, these packs are a little bit dangerous. You need to, like, make sure that, you have kicks and stuff like that up. And I still needed to end up to, like, kill 2 of these ads and not just 1. So, let's see if we actually manage to two-chest it, or, like, what happens. And with 10 seconds left, we end up 2-chesting it. Also hitting me into 2600, which, yeah, awesome, right? You know, I actually don't really have a specific number in mind, like score-wise, that is like my goal, but it's, I'm getting up there, which is fun. Great. I can't wait to see like how much I can actually push now that I'm actually getting into 20s, right? I'm almost, I'm halfway through getting all my portals, so yeah, wish me luck. And yeah, that was basically my Waycrest Manor run, to just like put it out like in front. It's all about just managing how much you pull and making sure that you're like playing a little bit safe. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.